Welcome to the podcast, Beyond Expectations, Parenting Autism. Follow Michelle Chabola's journey of raising a child with autism, the challenges, victories, and rewards. If you're a parent, caregiver, or simply someone seeking to understand autism on a personal level, you're in the right place.
Here we are with Sean Dobson on Beyond Expectations. How are you today?
Hosted by Michelle Chabolla. It's Michelle's program.
Hosted by Michelle.
I'm like the Ed McMahon to your Johnny Carson.
Question by Sean Dobson.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this no special guest this week. I've had a lot of fun with our special guests.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool that we've had some people write in and volunteer to come on and provide their stories. So it'll be super fun. We'll be meeting new people.
And more fun guests to come. Lots lined up.
Excellent.
So today
it's us. What we can get into the nitty-gritty.
Today, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about being a mom of an autistic child that has special interest. Most people know what Gregory's special interests are, but I will recap them. He collects Swarovski crystals. He collects albums and listens to them. Vinyl albums.
Right.
He loves original anything. So if it's an original signed by the actual artist, loves that.
Okay.
What else is he interested in? NASCAR fanatic. History Channel, Discovery Channel, Smithsonian Channel fanatics.
Would you lump that stuff all as like a fixation on learning? And
no, I'm just saying that those are his special interests. And then there is the Hyperfixations, which I learned the actual name of it. I knew he had it, and I knew we were dealing with it, but I didn't know what it was called. So a hyperfixation is if you're out and about and he sees something he wants and he's really into it, and it could go along with his special interest, right? But it may not be the best deal, may not be the best thing for him to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of waiting,
talked about it, that he has a hard time with the concept of money. How's that gone?
Right. So he has no concept of money. He knows money, and it's really hard to describe. It's like value. Maybe he doesn't know value. So, for example, you and I were on a vacation with him. He went into a very high-end gift shop.
Oh, I know. I didn't know the story we're going to talk about. Now I know the story we're going to talk about.
Went into a very high-end.
He went into a store that's a scam, is what he went into.
So I went in there with him. Very nice hotel, very high-end gift shop, and I always let him look. He loves to look. Well, he came upon this amazing sheep head, dinosaur head. I don't know what it was. He could tell you exactly what it was. It was huge, and it was very nice. It was cool if you were into that.
It was like a petrified animal head of some kind.
Sheep
head. Had fangs and sheep's head. It had like big long teeth, and it was petrified in some kind of stone. Cool. It was cool. So it was like a fossil.
And it was $11,000.
Yeah, that was the scam part. Everything in that shop was priced on the
astronomical, right? And so he, of course, wanted me to see it. And then when I said, "Oh, that's great," but I didn't support the purchase of it, who did he go to show? Uncle Sean.
He dragged me in there. I about fell over. He's like, "Isn't this cool?" It's very cool. How much is this? $11,000. I'm like, it's less cool now. It's not nearly as cool as I thought.
But see, I failed, and so. And remember, he wouldn't let go until he had to show you before we left. So he showed you.
Yeah.
And he never moved on from it. We went on to go to other cities, other places. Remember, we left that hotel.
Right.
And we're having dinner, and we went to this special restaurant just for Gregory. And what was he still thinking about? The $11,000 dinosaur. Yeah, the fossil. And he basically would not eat, would not move on from it.
Oh, I didn't know it was getting that bad. I remember he brought it up a couple times, and he went to stretch.
And then I remember you and Michael started looking elsewhere for the exact same fossil that happened to be everywhere.
Exactly. It wasn't rare at all.
It wasn't rare.
I think the shop was a scam because she was asking $11,000 for something that was available online for a tenth of that.
Exactly. Exactly a tenth of it. And what I really want to emphasize here, this is so hard because you see it as a passion. You see it as, oh my gosh, he wants it so bad, but really not. You see it, he can't move on. He literally can't move on. It's not a tantrum. We've all had toddlers that had tantrums.
Yeah. I would think this is kind of like when you have a young child, right? You have to teach them this skill of like, the answer is no, and it really is no. And we can cry, and we can pout, and we can fall on the ground and bang if we want to, but the answer is still going to be no. And so they basically, part of growing up and part of maturing, and I guess it's probably, I'm guessing 4, 5, 6 years old is where they realize that no is no, and
right,
and they're going to have to accept that. And so you're saying like he just won't accept no's no.
He won't accept no as no, and it pretty much just ruins the whole day. So I saw it happening. I looked at him. He said, I need to stretch. He went out and stretched. He came back, suffered through dinner. And at that point, we had done a lot. Remember, we had been everywhere. And I also knew he was exhausted. And it seems to happen with him worse when he's out of sorts. I call it out of sorts. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's not going to move on. So the next day, I don't know if you remember or not, but I canceled us going with you and Michael. You and Michael went on. I took him to the swimming pool so he could get some deep compression, some good movement. And then I could talk to him about it. And then I talked to him about it at lunch. And I said, we need to talk about this. And he just froze. Just froze. And I said, you're not in trouble, but you need to apologize to your uncle. You need to apologize to your brother because you were awful. You were awful last night. And I do talk to him like that. And I know I'm really hard on him, but I know he understands. I know he does. If he didn't, I wouldn't do that.
Michelle, that's got to be the hard part. Is it when do you have to make exceptions, and when should you make an exception to say, well, this kind of behavior wouldn't be tolerated otherwise, but this person has autism, and so we have to make exception for him. And when do you say bullshit? Like, I'm a mom and you're a kid and you got to learn how to behave. Like that must be like super hard.
When we're alone, I pull no punches.
Really? You treat him like a mom?
When I have time to let him do what he needs to do to vocalize and get it all out one-on-one in public, I let it, obviously I'm not going to do that to him in public, but when we're alone, all hands on deck, man. He understands it. And I think he gets over it faster. Now, if you were there, you would, oh my gosh, what is she doing to this?
Really? Because you scold him like you would a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old.
Absolutely. And hold him to it. And don't let him go, to his house where he wants to be. Make him go somewhere else and deal with it. Make him uncomfortable and make him realize. And he will. He'll feel awful. He'll say very sad things. He'll say, I just feel awful. I'm so disappointed in myself. And I just let him vent. I'm like, you're right. And I do throw out that he's 31 when he's biologically 31, but is he 31? No, he's not. But I do.
How do you think about his age? Is he 31? Is he a 6-year-old in a 31-year-old body in your mind?
I think he's probably 10 or 11, maybe.
Yeah.
9, 10 or 11 emotionally.
In terms of what he can comprehend and how he can function, that's pretty good, right? A 10, 11-year-old, you can leave them at home. They can make their own lunch.
Yes. He's very capable of that. Decision making, I think that's where he's at. He's probably IQ. There's no telling how smart he is because he can absorb everything. But on a taking care of himself, probably 10 or 11, I would say. When we're getting there, he gets better every day.
So you discipline him the way you would a 10 or 11-year-old.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, this is not the kind of behavior we're going to expect, and you got to do better.
Right. And it's different. His special interests are very expensive. Very expensive. We go to LA every year. He goes to this celebrity. He's gotten to where he goes to this authenticity celebrity shop, which you know what that is.
Like a memorabilia
all
shop.
These prints that are signed by all these celebrities, and they got the certificate and stuff with them, and he's just obsessed by this place. So when we go in, I go, now wait a minute, how much? Because there's a Star Wars head again, $14,000.
Right.
So we put a budget on it. He goes in there, and he's really good about sticking with the budget. That's another way to deal with it, is just put him on a budget. He has been hysterical, though, in the Swarovski store. We started to walk in there, and I said, now, Gregory, Christmas is coming. Your birthday's coming. Let's try not to spend, $100, $150. That's your budget today. And he walks in and he goes, I won't spend more than $1,000. I say, Gregory, I know. I mean, the whole store starts laughing. I'm just like, oh my,
Oh no.
this is not what I said.
What kind? So he's got this vast collection of the Swarovski crystals. Does he interact with them, or does he look at them? How does that create
Enjoyment.
How does that? Yeah. Like how does he enjoy them?
They're
What's
in
his
his
connection?
living room in this beautiful glass case, and he gets to enjoy them every day. And he
Yeah.
listens to his albums. He really does enjoy every single thing that he collects. I have to admit, I can't say that he collects things, puts it in a box, and puts it away. Lego.
So it's not hoarding.
He's not hoarding. He loves Legos. He builds them. He builds them and displays them. Now that can
Right.
get out of control. Legos are expensive, and then you have the problem of where do we display them? Puzzles, he worked thousands of puzzles. I mean, well, hundreds of puzzles he's worked. And so we glue them and hang them in the shop. I don't know what anybody else would do if they didn't have a 3,000 square foot shop to hang them in. But he hangs them. We make art out of them. So I totally say you support their special interest, and you just be very sympathetic to the hyper fixation. It's hard for them. It's really, really hard to move on.
Well, but the message seems kind of mixed, right? You're saying, on the one hand, you're saying it's a special needs person by definition.
Mm-hmm.
You got to they have special needs, right? So if they have this hyperfixation tendency, then you have to be sensitive to it. But then you're saying you got to guide them through it, where it's not acceptable to just perseverate on something and be stressed about it and keep trying to get the answer to change. So it seems like it's a very tough thing to navigate, right? Like, when does a mom know it's time to lay down the law, or it's time to indulge this?
I think you have to go on your child's, how mature they are, right? How much they can handle. I mean, are they asking for a $11,000 fossil, or are they asking for a $10 toy? Although, right, I mean, you need to not give in every single time. But,
Right.
and then
Right.
how much are they comprehending? We really didn't deal with this. Like, we just went on vacation to Colorado, and another thing he uses is handmade soap. That's all
Okay.
he uses, handmade soap, bar soap. And there's a soap lady that he loves in Breckenridge. It's expensive soap. It's like $12 a bar. And so we go every year, and he gets a year's full of soap. I mean, because he's not going to go back until next year. And she's super, super, super nice to him. And he remembers her every time. And we walked in this past weekend, and she wasn't there. The shop had changed hands. Threw him completely off.
Oh, wow.
Basically told the lady that she wasn't the right lady.
Bring back the correct.
I said, Gregory, he goes, well, that's not what I meant, but that's not the lady. And she goes, you're right. She said, did you come here last year? And he said, no, we didn't come last year. And she said, you're right. 2 years ago, I bought the shop from Kim. And he goes, that's her name. So then he got to know this lady. But now that, I don't know if that's a special interest or a hyperfixation. You figure that out. He has to buy it from her every year.
What do you do if that shop's no longer there?
Oh, that's happened before. It's not good. It's not good at all. You find another shop that you hopefully, that you can talk him into, because that has happened before. Because there's a collector shop there that has collecting things that closed.
Right.
But he has these certain shops, these certain restaurants, every single visit that he goes to. So I don't know where that falls into an obsession, or he has to go to this restaurant because it has the game room. He has to play the games, and none of it's outlandishly expensive. It's a routine. Beef jerky. There's a beef jerky guy. This time he was closed, but he
He
handled
finds
it.
what he likes. He finds what he likes, and then he has that comfort with
Right.
knowing, right? I mean, didn't we? I think we talked about this, that people with autism are more likely to like to watch reruns because there's no surprises, right? They know what's going to happen next.
Right.
It's comfort. It's comforting to know
Mhm.
what's going to happen next. Relaxing, know what's going to happen next. And so is that basically the same thing? It's like no, like new things are hard, so I like the old things.
I guess so. I mean,
It kind of sounds a little bit awesome, right? I mean, to me, if you had like your soap lady and you had your like the restaurants you liked and the shops you liked, and you got to go to them when they were always there, and you didn't have to go to new places. That sounds amazing to me.
Turkey person, and your favorite shop. I mean, he has his favorites, and I think we all do. I think you're right. I think we all do. But it just amazes me when he gets so upset about it. And he knows.
Yeah, so like in the hyperfixation thing, when you have to say no, right? When it's the shop at the bottom of the hotel trying to steal $10,000 from a guest, it's a crazy thing I've ever seen. Then would you say he gets mad, sad? Does he get like hyper anxiety where he's gonna like throw up, or like what are the emotions, or is it all of that?
It's all inside. He holds it all inside.
So the disappointment. Does he think he did something wrong by wanting it? Is he taking it on himself that this is a bad thing he did, or is it just the disappointment of like not getting what he wants?
I think it's the disappointment of not knowing it's not a good deal at the end, right? Because he ended up being okay with one that we found online.
Right.
That you and Michael found, but he wasn't. He was not feeling for that night. Remember, he was not going to settle for what y'all found that night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had to get out to Google and figure out how to get him what he wanted without getting stolen from.
Right.
But that didn't solve the issue. It was still like
not until the next day, till I got him out. He swam all day, and then at lunchtime we had to talk. I made sure that he got that deep compression out, that he got the movement out. He, had moved on to another activity. He hadn't forgot about it. And then we came back to lunch. I said, we need to talk.
But I guess I'm trying to figure out, is it like, when someone's told no, there's a disappointment, right? But if someone's told you're making a bad decision, that's much more personal, right? And is that what gets him so upset, or is it just the fact he can't get his way?
He gets disappointed that he can't move on. He gets very disappointed.
He wants to go on and he can't do it.
He feels it, right? Yeah. I totally think he can't move on. I don't know how that would feel. That would feel.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Where you yourself want to get past this, but your anxiety levels, your emotions are just wound up, and you can't get past it.
And he can't manage the emotions. So now when he shows people that the one he's got that was, tenth of the price, he goes, now I did see one.
It's still out there. He still wants the rip off one.
And I'm just like, oh my God, we're going right down this rabbit hole again with the $11,000.
Oh, no, it's going to be forever.
I know I'm not the only person that deals with this. I have seen major special interests that look like obsessions, right?
Right.
That they have a whole lot of one thing. And some of them don't ever move on from it. They just need that same activity over and over and over again.
Where they collect.
Where they collect. Like when
you hung up there for a minute there.
Oh,
all right, I think we're back. We're back.
Yeah, like they just collect and collect and collect, and it almost becomes a hoarding thing.
And so if you're a parent, so your advice, if you're a parent to a child with autism and they have this we'll call it, it's sort of two different things. They have this special interest thing where they love, back in the day it was Beanie Babies or whatever, right? They've got their thing, or it's the crystals, and those crystals are expensive, right? Then like do you, at some point, we talk about economics a lot. We had the guest on that talked about the special needs trust and living. I mean, like invariably, this is going to be something that absorbs a lot of your financial resources, right? You have a child that is going to be part of your household potentially forever and then beyond, right? So these special interests can get expensive. So if you have that, if their special interest is in these things that you can't afford, what do you do? Have you ever successfully switched them off of one track onto another?
With his crystals, I've gotten it down to where it's just special occasions. But his other special interest are Broadway shows and
Yeah, I was going to mention that before. He loves to go to live production.
musical, Cirque du Soleil. And I really don't feel bad about that because I just feel like that is such a learning for him. It is. I know they're expensive seats. I bought nosebleed for Little Mermaid, and he will not let me forget.
Oh,
Every time I renew, because we haven't, let me see where the seats are. And I
oh
go,
no!
right. He goes, remember, I could barely see.
Can't you hear a cynical person? Can't you hear a cynical person listen to this conversation and saying, "This is just a spoiled person, right? This is like I want what I want. I want it when I want it, and I want the best, and I'm not going to pay for it. Someone else has."
Right.
So, like, what's the difference between a special interest that absorbs time and money, and like what's the difference from an a person with autism who has these sort of gets so focused on these things, and someone that's just like, yeah, I want that too. I want my own soap lady. I want my own whatever. Like, what's the difference between being spoiled and having these conditions?
Well, Gregory works for it. He makes
Mhm.
his own money. And I try to show him the difference of having money and not having money. And that's really hard. Money's a very hard thing for him. I don't know if it's because it's just not physically in your hands. I really haven't figured that out yet. Because if he does use cash, he gets ripped off. Now no one takes cash.
Right.
Or it's a bank card, which would be like a check. It's just swipe that thing and you get what you want.
Yeah. So why not do it all the time?
Try to make him independent. At the airport, I'm working on it. Like at the airport, he's got 5,000 magazines he could take, but he buys a new one. And he always gets those special Time or Newsweeks that have the Beatles or Elvis, and they're $15, sometimes $20 magazine.
Right.
He comes, and I'll let him go look by himself.
But at the end of the day, he makes his own money, and that sets his budget. So you cover food and housing and whatever.
Right.
And if he makes enough money to buy the magazine, he can buy the magazine. So he has his own agency over his own resources.
It does. That's right.
With guardrails that you don't let him buy the $11,000 bottle. But that's wild. Because so how would you think about the answer to my question? Like, so what's the difference between like overindulging someone, right, and being sympathetic to the fact that they have autism and they can't control these things?
They won't.
Like, huh? Is it just moms? Is it just moms know?
It's just moms know, and moms have I mean, you truly have to know your child's maturity. They may not be asking for anything. He didn't ask for anything till he was almost 6.
Mhm.
Never asked for anything at stores or anything. Now he wasn't talking a lot, but he could still point, and and he would just pick a toy up and put it back down. And I think the first time he wanted something, it was like, oh my gosh, he asked for something. He actually wants something.
Right.
And he doesn't ask for a lot. I'm probably making him sound way more demanding and more spoiled than he is. He truly doesn't ask for a lot. It's just that when he asks for it, it's quality.
Well, and when he asks for it, it's like you're in a pickle because saying no is hard and getting him to accept no is nearly impossible.
And when he doesn't ask for anything, I mean, just Sharon. Sharon's the worst. She'll just say yes. My oldest sister, she'll say yes to everything. Because she was with us in Colorado and he asked for something. I said, buddy, and she'll go, but he never asked for anything.
Oh, no.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He really doesn't. He doesn't have a car. He doesn't. If you think of the expenses you have with a typical child, you don't have those. He didn't have college. He doesn't have a car. He doesn't, have a lot of the typical expenses. So you're like, oh, well, it's not okay for $11,000 fossil, but it might be okay for a $20 magazine, right?
But what you're saying though is that you treated him like you would a 10 or 11-year-old kid that basically wouldn't take no for an answer and was pouting about it, upset about it.
Right.
But the difference was, instead of like maybe a 10 or 11-year-old, you yell at them or punish them or take away their phone or whatever. With him, it's about giving him space and time, removing him from like more stressors and more stuff, and like giving him a bunch of time to accept that there's a no.
And 9 times out of 10, after the whole big thing, he will apologize. He understands. And that's what I think, it's a real temporary thing that he can't move on from at that moment. But,
Right.
later on, he will move
You
on from it and he'll apologize.
But you've been fortunate. But I've got other friends that have adult kids with autism, and there's been problems with violence. And I think it ties back to the same thing, which is they get told no. And then, because like at the end of the day, like, you're scolding him, you're feeling like he's 11. He's a 6 foot tall, 185-pound man.
I know, too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He could literally pick me up and throw me across the shop if he wanted to. He really could.
But some parents have to deal with that.
That's
right? They have to deal with someone that gets upset and then they get violent, right?
Right.
And so, like, for that situation, it seems like you're in them. So why don't you think you're in that situation? Why don't you think you've ever had that situation?
Honestly,
You just got lucky with him?
yeah, the massages, the de-stressing him, the putting him back in when
Oh,
when
I can never understand how to say
he
it.
needs that massage. I mean, I can just read him like a book. He's just like this, and he has a really hard time processing. He has a really hard time functioning. I take him to Mark and say, "Here, fix him," and he comes out and he's de-stressed. He's back in. He's just, I don't even know how to describe it.
Wow.
It's like
We
back
need
in.
to get Mark to come on and explain
I've asked
that.
him to, and he's
What's it called?
He's going to listen to this. We can call him out. he listens to my show.
Well, I mean, not everyone can afford it, and it's not available, right? Like, there's not that many practitioners, I guess.
Correct. He's very special.
So people may have to go figure out how to get by with their own.
Yeah. There are other ones, but they're hard to find. They're really hard to find. When I moved from Colorado, my most stressful thing in the move was making sure I could find another craniosacral therapist.
Craniosacral therapist.
It took me probably 6 weeks to find him after I got here. I made sure he was ready for the move, and then I found Mark, and he's never left him. He's been with him for 13 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I think that just recenters him and lets him know where he's at. I just think the stress alone and anxiety can really do harm to anybody. Stress is awful, and anxiety. And then if you don't know how to release it, get away from it. I get away from it. You get away from it. He doesn't.
Yeah. Well, you have these. It feels like we talked about this before, but like, it feels like that if you don't have autism, you have better coping mechanisms. You might have the same tendencies, but you've somehow been able to have a nervous system that allows you to cope with the no, cope with the stress, find a way around it. But I mean, but to be fair, people that don't have autism and have a lot of stress, a lot of them end up in the bottom of a bottle of whiskey somewhere, right? So
correct.
Like, they find bad ways to deal with it as well.
To deal with it, to medicate themselves. Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, to medicate themselves. And so, but the tough part about being a mom in your situation is you gotta find that thing that's even hard to describe, right? That thing of like, I can't have a spoiled person. They have to learn. Some behavior is acceptable, some's not. But then I have to lower the bar a little bit, and it just feels like it's impossible for a parent to know.
It really is, and I can see him sometimes double up his fist. I can hear him get very frustrated in the shop. Sometimes I hear a different hum or a different noise, and I'll peek in and say, "Is everything okay?" And he'll just look at me because he's frustrated, like I've given him something too thick, or something's not going just the way he wants it to. And I'll say, "You know what? Why don't you step away from it and come back to it?" And he will, and he'll come back, and he'll put it together. But I can tell in a different of his noise. But if he's frustrated somewhere and he's got his hands in his fist, he needs to go stretch. He needs to stretch. That's stretch.
Does he know that, or do you have to catch him before you start swinging?
He's never swung, but I can look at him and he'll say, "Can I go stretch?" And I go, "Yes, you can." And usually
Yeah.
it's a screaming baby. It's a noise off the chart, a real high pitched noise, not music. You see how loud he can take music. He can take
Yep.
games. It's that distress. If he knows someone's distressed, that
Yeah.
is
It's
high
this
impact.
super high, it's like this super high level of empathy on one side
Right.
that he wants it to be better and wants that person to be better, and he
And
can't.
he looks at
And
me like, he's asked me to fix babies on airplanes before. Fix it. I'm like, it's not my baby. Put on your
but
head.
like, but when I have a scream at me, this might sound terrible, but when there's a baby screaming next to me, right? Well, now that I've had kids, when there's a baby screaming next to me, I feel terrible for the parents because I know
I do.
that they're like they don't want this and they're embarrassed and they know it's affecting everyone else. But I would say the screaming baby first comes to me as like that's noise I don't want to hear and whatever. It doesn't come to me as like, oh my god, the baby's in trouble, because I know it's not, right? The mom's there, whatever.
Right.
But with him, it's reversed, right? He's worried about the baby. He's not worried
Right.
about himself being being inconvenienced, right?
Yes.
And that's what creates so there's something we have to learn about, this super high level of empathy
Mhm.
that he has, and I think it's common with people with autism, right? This is why
Yes.
he's fun to be around, right? He's just a super, he's a super good energy to be around.
He literally, I could probably count how many times he cried as a baby.
Really?
Which is,
That's
so
so
I look back and I'm like, he never cried. He never cried. It was
So it's
great.
like he didn't worry about himself. Because a lot of times crying is like, I'm unhappy, right?
He was the
I need something.
happiest baby you saw him. He was happy all the time. Even Mark
Yeah.
said he had a grin on his face, and every day of high school, he just was a happy guy.
He seems to be happy now, right? That he's fun to be around. Like, and so I guess it's these extremes, right? Because he's happy all the time, but then when he gets upset, he loses control of his ability and doesn't have these. So mom's got to be that part of the nervous system that dials it back and helps him find a way to get past what ordinarily other people would sort of just take a deep breath and grit their teeth and move on. Then the mom's got to step in, or the parents got to step in and be that nervous system for them.
Right. And just
That's wild. Oh my goodness, it's so
try to
complicated.
figure it out. It's so complicated, but this hyperfixation is definitely, Gregory. I live it so much, and it's just, and since you've experienced it, I was like, oh, we have to talk about it. Because until you live it, you don't. You're like, he wanted it, whatever. Oh, you saw it.
Yeah, no, I would say it's different than like a kid that gets a toy on their mind. It's different than that. You can tell it's a level of like it's a true fixation. Like we can't find a way to move on.
We can't move on, but we did. We didn't buy the $11,000 phone.
Exactly. Luckily, exactly.
We had to hide it in our suitcase. Anyway, well, this is great. All right.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you, and thank everyone for listening.
That's right.
All right.
Until next time. All right. Bye.
Until next.